Hey, it's Rager with another crypto market update. And Bitcoin is about to do something that it's never done before. I want to tell you about that here in a minute, as well as talk about Ethereum and Link and how those pair of assets can be some of the best performing assets out of any market over the next 6 months. And we'll also talk about low cap coins that you like, that you wanted me to take a look at. Everything in this video right now. So if you want to know what Bitcoin is about to do that it's never done before, go ahead and make sure to keep watching, because what I have to do before we get into that is that there's so many green candles that I can hardly look at the screen. With that said, we might have to change some things up a little bit in this video as we prepare for more upwards market momentum. Hey, I am Rager. I've been in this market for a long time. I'm not looking to sell you anything like a lot of people are looking to do. In fact, I own my time because I've been successful in this market. I enjoy making content. I enjoy trading crypto markets, and I would not rather be anywhere else in the world than right here, right now. If you'd love to, would love to have you a part of the community. If you want to go ahead and subscribe below, and make sure to share that with a friend. So let's go ahead and get into it, because Bitcoin is about to do something that it's never done before, and nothing is financial advice, by the way. So Bitcoin is looking to potentially break its all-time high daily close. It's never done this before. It's never broke above 120.67. That is the daily all-time high, and that is where we're looking to close right now on the daily. And if Bitcoin breaks out and does this on the daily, it's typically a good sign. And of course, now we're trying to break out. So don't be shocked if Bitcoin pushes up to 123K, pulls back down around 5% or so or less to around 120, and then we continue to move on up. I think the daily close is what we want to keep our eyes on. Now, again, you have to be bullish on Bitcoin for the fact that each and every cycle, we continue to have longer and longer bull markets. And so that's exactly what this chart shows right here, that cycles are getting longer when measured from the bear market low to the peak top overall, okay? This is JDK Analysis on Twitter, and they believe that they're looking at around again, Q1 all-time high for Bitcoin. And that's what I talked about over the past couple of videos, talking about what I think is going to be the next all-time high, timing the market, and that's really hard to do. But what I believe happens is what I said here in this video, is that I said book market, crypto continues up in August into September. That's when the Fed rate cuts happen. And so we can expect that, because today we had lower than expected inflation. Of course, we saw the market push up on that news. So bullish news overall. I think we're going to continue to see a really good August, go into September, sell the news event in September. We're going to see a pullback. That's when we want to buy those pullbacks, and then right on up into Q4 and the Q1 of 2026, where I believe personally that we could get an all-time peak high for Bitcoin to end the potential cycle. But we don't know, because we've never had the fundamentals that we have today when it comes to crypto and Bitcoin. We've got more funds, more money than ever in crypto. Funds are moving from other asset classes into Bitcoin, into crypto. And we also know retirement plans as well. So we've got billions and billions and billions of dollars to flood into the crypto market, whether that's Bitcoin, Ethereum, potentially some other major assets. But we do know that we've never seen this type of money come in like we have now. So very bullish for Bitcoin. I do believe that we continue to see a longer bull market when it comes to the crypto cycles, but there's only been around 3 crypto cycles prior to this, which the sample size is very low. Other 2 things that I want you to watch are Ethereum, because what Ethereum is doing right now is it just poked $4,600. It has not seen those prices since 2021. Mega bullish on Ethereum as it retests the previous all-time weekly close, and expecting for Ethereum to potentially close at a weekly all-time high here this week, which would be really cool to see Ethereum continue on up Now, let me get you on why this could be happening. We've had, for the first time in a while here, over $1 billion in total dollars of assets flood into Ethereum ETFs this past few days here. So just understand, pretty massive for Ethereum. There's definitely a demand for it. And so the world's decentralized internet computer, or whatever you want to say, whatever people want to call Ethereum, it's looking really good right now as an overall narrative and asset. People who missed the Bitcoin push up, they're of course saying Ethereum can run a lot higher, looking for Ethereum to hit $10,000 to $15,000. I do believe that we will see an all-time high in Ethereum before the federal rate cuts, which would be in less than a month away. So looking for that to happen. But of course, after it pokes above and hits all new all-time highs, potential for a pullback in all markets, and then continue to run up to there, potentially to $10,000. So Ethereum looks fantastic. In other news, we do know that Link has had a reserve for its token as well. We talked about that. And as you zoom out, anytime, this is the higher time frames, if you at all in September, if we do get a pullback in the market and the market pulls back for Link sub $20, that is an insta buy for me at least. And so Chainlink has one of the, let's see here, most committed following that you can think about, probably outside of Bitcoin and XRP. And so those Chainlink Marines are very serious as far as committed to their token here. But what I have to say is that Chainlink has done a very good job business-wise over the past decade when it comes to crypto. Since it's been here the last couple of cycles, Link has performed very well. And I think that we'll see new all-time highs with Link, which would be, above $53, which I think in my thumbnail, I said Link $200 potentially. I think that it's a real potential opportunity for Link to continue to move on up into the top 10 because it has a lot going for it. Not only does it have the potential because of the reserve, but as I've talked about in previous videos, we know that Sergey, the founder of Chainlink, politically seems to be close with the president. And, you know, fundamentally, that's always a positive thing when it comes to pumping your bags, right? Link right now is around 13th overall in market cap at $15 billion. For it to go into the top 10 would certainly need to have more than a 2x. So that would currently put price closer to over $40 for Chainlink. And of course, to get above the all-time high, we'd have to be above 50, which would push price closer up, probably over 40 billion, which would then put it into the top 7. And I think that Chainlink can actually push as high as Solana potentially. So that number is around 100 billion. And I don't think 100 billion is totally out of the question when it comes to Chainlink. That would actually be a 6x from current prices, which would put price above $100. So can it hit $200? I don't know. Potentially, that would put it at around a $200 billion market cap, would put it at 3rd overall. Now, that's not out of the question. I do not think that Link will bypass Bitcoin or Ethereum. Solana, B, and XRP will be very difficult for Link to break above, but I do think that we can hit at least new all-time highs in the next 6 months, if not $100 for Chainlink. Now, Solana, I just talked about that, and a lot of people have actually been getting over-focused on Ethereum, and they forget about Solana. Now, Solana is the blockchain that most people use overall. All the apps, all the trading, everything are on Solana. That's where retail is found. And Solana, I think you're going to see ETFs. I think you're going to see reserves. You're going to see everything that you've seen for Ethereum. You're going to see it for Solana. So if you think for any instance that Solana is dead here, I think you're crazy. Solana has massive upside, and I think that we're going to see well above the $300 all-time high for Solana. So from here, currently, Solana sits at a $100 billion valuation. If we go back to CoinGecko, we'll see that Ethereum is around 500. I do not think it will surpass Ethereum by any means, but if Ethereum continues to move up, that should double up in price, at least with putting it above $1 billion, $1 trillion, 1 trillion, not 1 billion, which I think would be able to push Solana up from here at a 4 or 5x even. So looking at Solana to hit somewhere between $600 to $800 here in the next year, potentially would be the upper bands of what I think can happen. Pure speculation, nobody knows. But if you're looking at the pure frothy euphoria that we've experienced in the past, then we do know that prices always go beyond expectation. So I think Ethereum certainly can hit 10 to 15,000. I think Solana can certainly hit that 6, 750, 800 man. 1,000, I don't know, but I think 600 to 800 is realistic. Link, $200 maybe, but certainly I think it could hit $100, definitely over 50. And these are some of your major player assets that are doing really well in the market that you need to pay attention to. In future videos, and I think this week, I will tell you how I trade as far as how do I stack my portfolio, because you're gonna hear a lot of opinions. You're gonna hear people say, only buy Bitcoin. You're gonna hear people say, don't buy any other altcoins. You have people on here that talk about only Ethereum, only Bitcoin, don't buy any other altcoins. Ethereum is outperforming every other altcoin or the altcoin market cap chart. And so what they don't realize that there are always outliers when it comes to altcoins. And so you both need to hold Ethereum and Bitcoin, link Solana, trade those as well as lower cap coins. I'm telling you right now, if you want the most bang for your buck, you have to balance it out. And I think that anytime that you only stick to maybe one asset, there's always going to be a time where you're being outperformed. So it is good to have a little bit of exposure of multiple things. But let's go ahead and talk about some coins that you guys wanted to hear. You guys asked for KeyCat. So KeyCat is actually found on Base Chain. And so it is one of the stronger Base Chain tokens we saw. I'm going to go to the daily chart. It really got really frothy back in November. So it hit as high as close to 200 million market cap. And when it comes to trading, I don't like to look at prices. I like to look at market cap. You can really change the price of any token. You can have tokens that have 10 billion in supply, 1 billion, a trillion. And because of that, they're all going to have varying prices. But where they kind of balance and match themselves are the market cap, right? Supply times price. And so I will, when I go on Dex Screener or anywhere, Axiom, I always like to use the market cap on the right. I don't like to use the price. So when it comes to the market cap overall, currently at 60 million for KeyCat. Scrolling down here, KeyCat has recently had a big pump. And so whenever you see a big pump like that, you tend to see pullbacks. And I love that it had a peak to 62 and it pulled back to 46. That's very healthy. If you want it to keep running up like this, that's what you want it to do. And it's currently over the past few hours, after hitting 66 million, pulled back to around 59 million. And I certainly want to see that. Now, when it comes to the price, I don't want to see it break below this range. So really to keep above 50 million market cap to be bullish on KeyCat, because I want to continue to see that upward momentum. And so we do know that Base is also a very popular chain when it comes to crypto. And looking at this 4-hour chart, yeah, don't be shocked if it comes back down around 55, 56 million. Not saying that it will, but if I'm trading this, if I see it drop down there, that's in that previous range is where I'm going to be a buyer at. So KeyCat overall looks pretty good. It's in an uptrend when you go on the daily chart. It's had these ups and downs. So what I want to really see it happen is really getting back above that 70 to 75 million market cap. And so what's going to happen then, if it can break above that, you're going to hear chants of 100 million, that psychological number. And I think that people will want to jump in there, certainly. And really, Base Chain, how popular that is, how much Coinbase is pushing that. And we do know that people who are trading on Base, anybody who uses the Coinbase wallet and app are going to have access to that, which is pretty much bullish a lot of Base coins. So KeyCat looks pretty good. Expect maybe a minor pullback after the push up. That's very normal. But from there, there's no reason why this can't continue on. Now, some other things that people ask about is the old school meow. Is that how you say it? Okay. LMEOW. And so with meow, I do believe that this is the OG one that has been around since 2022. So that's a long time. Now, this is the original one that I actually got in. And so as far as Ethereum, outside of base, I don't really like to trade coins because there's not really a big market for it. That's not where retail traders are at. And typically these don't get a lot of volume. I am actually holding still, and I do expect this to continue on with this uptrend. And so there's been a nice uptrend here. And so nice bounce. And what we're seeing right now is we're at probably the mid-range here between the top and the bottom of the range. And so maybe a rejection, but the same thing. Where you want to see this break out at is around the 25 to 30 million. And so unfortunately, it's been slow when you're having these long ranges. And personally, 30 million is where you want to break out at, and you want to hold above that. And so if you can't do that, it's one of those things where you just need to get more volume. As far as this token, I've been a fan of it. I've talked about it. Bonk Guy, as the 8-figure trader, Uni PCS, he also as well has talked about it. And so I do believe that this one is a good one. The other one, which is actually on Solana, there's a newer one that's around 1 or 2 million market cap. And not that can't do as well either. It's just you have a competitor there. So as I talked about with the Wojak coins earlier this week, I hate when there's a competitor to go back and forth because that takes away from liquidity and from eyes. And it's just way better. People just get all on the same train. And personally, I wish the new one that's on Solana, I wish they didn't do that. I wish they would have just bought into this and backed it. People are greedy and they want in at 10K market cap and make 1,000, 10,000x and retire. So that's why they make new coins. They try to vamp in PvP. I hate PvP and vamping. So it's hard for me to back a lot of those. But bottom line, Meow is a very old school OG meme that I believe if you could get some more talk about it on social, could do well overall, but do want to see it break above 25 to 30 million. So a few other, talking about Ethereum, we have Joe, which I know they recently secured the IP, which is big for them. Had a nice run up from around 10 million to 75 million, which basically peaked at the previous all-time high back in November. So any token that goes and it actually retests the all-time high from this fall, it's huge because it's very hard to do because we had a lot of froth in the meme market. And so that shows a lot of strength, which shows me that Joe is a strong coin, got a strong community, and for it to already retest its all-time high. So we did have a pullback from 75 down to 26 million, had a bounce since then, again, rejected, and it's slowly trending up. But if I were to put some moving averages on this, you could probably be able to see that this is slowly bouncing off those, and this uptrend is good. So I think what's going to happen is I think with what's going on with Joe and showing the strength that it's doing is that it should continue to show strength as the market shows strength. And I think that we're going to see a new all-time high for Joe here in the next few weeks to few months. So again, outside that September pullback where I think a lot of tokens overall are going to show some pullback, but just understand that. Now, Show is one that I talked about as far as robotics go. So outside the meme culture, right, you have AI, you have robotics, and I don't think robotics is dead. I think what the problem with robotics is that it's just really early. And so you have some chatter about robotics and people will hurry up and buy it up. And then like you'll get a little pullback. And because robotics is still not that big yet, people will just paper hand it and not hold long and just try to move on to the next thing. And you're going to see that a lot of times when it comes to these bull markets, that coins that actually are really good, that are really pumping hard, people just try to rotate and try to chase stuff a lot of times instead of holding stuff. And so if something is not specifically moving, people a lot of times will say, what can I sell? Oh, I can sell this because there's not a robotics narrative that's super hot yet, even though it's early, and they end up selling it and moving on. But what I have to tell you is it's important to have some exposure when it comes to AI and robotics. So if you don't, this is one of those that you might want to look into. I have a very small amount of this, a few $1,000s worth that I bought around 1.5 million. It's currently at 1.3. So of course the entry is better even what my entry is, but I do have a small amount. And so what we saw is we had a nice run up from 200,000 to around 3 million, which that's going to end up being like a 15x there. And so it's only healthy to have a pullback like this. So the pullback from 3 million down to 1 million, very healthy, very normal. what I want to see next is it to continue to grind on up and slowly make back up to where it hit that all-time high. And so on the daily chart, again, nice little green candle here, staying above the previous range of 1 million. That's what I like to see. I think above 1 million was showing strength. And so as the robotic narrative continues to grow, you want to look for those robotic type of coins and assets. Fundamentally, check it out. You can check it out on their Twitter at Vitanova by Virtual. So it is found on base chain. It is not on Solana. That's important to know because you're not going to be able to trade this on Solana. So going back to Solana, to end it out here, we have Gel, which is the old school bonk meme of the bonk dog hitting the baseball bat on the other dog. And of course, it's one of the earliest renditions of bonk. And outside of Copper the dog, which I talked about before, very low cap. I think it's 0 right now. That you got to look into that. But Jail is one that I could see take off. It has a decently strong community, and we've been in this downtrend here. Okay. And with that, I mean, it looks like it's wedging out a little bit, but I do this $1 million support here. And so if you go and you make a line here, you're basically going to see that this was basically the line in the sand, 1 million market cap. And so holding support, holding as resistance, back and forth. It had a quick, for one day, it did break below it. But as soon as that happened, price was quick to jump back up above. And from 700K to 1.7 at 2.5x, there is a pullback here. Now a small green candle on the daily, which looks okay for support. So if I were to get into Gel, it would probably be around 1 million where it currently sits. If you like this token, which I hear that it's got a strong community overall, when the bonk ecosystem takes back off again, which it will, I talked to you about that in videos earlier this week, this is going to be one that probably does well, and you're looking at more of a potential bottom area at 1 million market cap. So don't fade the bonk ecosystem. Competition is very bullish overall. Pump Fun versus bonk, I think those will continue to be the two key leaders. You're going to have a lot of other launch pads come out, okay? And I'll be straight with you right now, and I can probably give you my opinion. You're not going to want to necessarily, people who are fans of these and the creators and founders aren't going to like me, but specifically everything else I've seen from most other launch pads are bad. You have the Bags app, Bags is fine. I think that they've got, the issue is they only have one original coin on there that's doing well, and that's Buy the Hat. Now, they did Buy the Hat, which is pretty cool overall. I think spent millions of dollars on it, but that is the one specific coin. Outside of that, really everything else has been PvP. Just coins that are trying to vamp other coins and trying to do this and that. And that's never healthy for crypto, because it's not real community. Because what you have, okay, I'm gonna tell you this right now, and this is why it's not necessarily bad to give creators payment, right? That's not a bad thing. The bad thing is that it's not authentic, right? People come in, they launch a coin, they grab a bag of it, they buy it with side wallets, then they shill it. This should be the real whiff. This should be the real Pepe. This should be the real whatever. When really all they want to do is just dump their side wallets as price goes up. They don't care about the meme. They don't care about the community. It's just a quick trade for them. And the problem with that is that memes are built on community. So if your community isn't growing by any means, okay, if I can even zoom in here, if the coin is going up because of the narrative of this, but really in the end, it's not a real true community backing it, because the real true community is in the other token already. And thousands of holders, thousands of supporters, and then you're trying to get a handful of a few hundred new supporters who don't really care about it. And all that's going to happen is they're just in it for profit. They're not in it for the meme, the community. As it goes up, they're going to take profits. They're going to slowly leave, and they're going to slowly bleed out. That's what we've seen on Bags app. Most of these pump back down. That's why they don't really have any true runners yet. You can't base your entire foundation off PvP and vamping other coins. I'm just being real with you. Not going to work. It's going to work short time. It's going to get you some fees, but there has to be a better way. And currently, I don't necessarily like that. So that's what I think about that. And don't even get me started on Heavendex. So there is a new launchpad, Heavendex, that came out, raised $23 million. They took a little piece of that, put it in liquidity, okay, that raise, and then they sent the rest of themselves, is what it seems like to Binance. And then since, I mean, in the end, is it anything illegal? No. They asked for a fundraise. They can do whatever they want with the money. They don't have to put any in liquidity unless they said that they were going to put it all in there. I don't think they did. But morally, not the right thing to do. So whenever you see any type of launchpad or DEX like that comes out and they claim that they're going to change the game, they're going to change how things are, they're going to make things better, but really all they do is extract. And so from the beginning, they lose trust. Right now, everybody who got in the pre-sale is down 50%. They have very little liquidity to trade into, and that's all we know. And so will the token go up over time? Certainly, but it's more than that. Why should anybody use your DEX if you go and you raise 23 million just to pocket most of it? Nobody wants anything to do with you. So when it comes to new launch pads, I think Bonk and Pump Fund are going to be the leaders, and that's specifically why. And just being real, just breaking it down, I've been in this market for a long time, traded for a long time, and that's just something that I think is my opinion, not only my opinion, but the opinion of many other people. I'll get off my soapbox there because we're taking way too much time to talk about other launch pads that aren't really doing much. But my personal opinion is that Bonk and Pump are going to keep going back and forth, and Bonk Fund is going to continue to grow its ecosystem. And so if we go and we look at Bonk Fund, bonk.fund, you're going to see, again, as I've said before, that you're not really seeing many market caps above 20 million. Useless, the WeChat, Annie, and Annie's only there because of Elon Musk, Corey. So really, the sky's the limit when it comes to Bonk Fund tokens and the growth of the ecosystem. And I think as soon as you start to see some runners on here, you're going to see more people going back into Bonk Fund, launching on it, more people trading on it. If you go to the revenue, you're going to see that the revenue is down quite a bit. 65K, they're making $1 to $1.5 million per day there for a while. Substantially less overall, but they do have a ton of overall Solana that they've accumulated. And so they've got a deep war chest of ways that they can continue to improve and build upon. And of course, Bonk Fund is not paying me to say that. I trade on Pump Fund as well every day. So trade on both of them. But as a trader, I just tell you, don't expect that Bonk Fund is dead. Go looking for lower cap Bonk Fund tokens now. And I think that you're going to see those are up over the course of the next few months. So yeah, with that said, that's really it for me. Outside of Chainlink is looking pretty good. Solana, out of all the coins right now and the majors, is probably looking the best along with Ethereum. Again, I think that narrative is coming back in that, hey, if Ethereum's going to have ETFs and have all these treasury reserves and just a lot of big stuff for it and accumulation from funds, then Solana, it's going to happen too. So of course, that's the rumor. Bitcoin overall is looking to have its highest close of all time. Can it hit that? Will it hit that? But we will see at the end of the day. But we're not going to be around for that. So you guys, make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you like the content below, if you feel like it's helpful, if you like the glasses, just let me know. But I probably won't wear them most videos. But subscribe to the channel. Make sure to share this with somebody who's looking, who trades or invests in crypto. Yeah, I don't get a ton of views right now, but again, I do it for the love. I do it because I enjoy this market. I've been successful and love to share my insights on both Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Link, the majors, as well as the small cap tokens, because a mix of those are always going to get you the most money when it comes to this market. And that's how I like to trade. And that's what you're going to see here on this channel. So guys, looking for an all-time high break on the daily close. We'll check back in the rest of this week to see what happens with Bitcoin. And really, that's it for me. So you guys, make sure, as always, have a great rest of your day. Trade safe, and I'll see you on the next one.